The Americans are forced out of bounds by Canada. So Canada will take the line out here, and Tony, there are some young players on both sides here. This is a really big developmental opportunity. The Rugby World Cup was just finished last week in France, where again Canada really put themselves on the world stage with a second place finish, and the IRB Player of the Year in Magali Harvey. Canada well ranked in the 7th circuit, particularly where they'll go into Rio in 2016 as a potential medal favorite. And this is an opportunity for that cycle to re-begin and have some of these players look to moving the national women's team down the road for both the United States and Canada.
And to show that, it is possible, the number 10 fly half position for Canada in the women's team that did win silver is actually a girl from Barrie who's 19 years old. So last year she was playing high school rugby, and this year she's playing internationally and won a silver medal in World Championships. So some of these women are obviously looking to repeat that.
Yeah, and in both countries have very similar challenges with the size of them geographically. Talking to the American coach, they do have 13 states represented, facing similar challenges with travel and getting girls together. And so they really like these opportunities to let the girls really show what they can do. And it looks like there's a penalty against the Americans, and Canada chooses to run quickly. Nelson moving the ball wide to Tessier. And again, Canada looking to get that ball wide where they can use some speed opportunities wide. Number 13 for Canada running with the ball, it's Brianna Nicholas. Heard she had a very good game in the first leg in London on Wednesday night. And Canada looking now to use some of the forwards to suck some defenders in. And we'll see if they do that a few more times or choose to move the ball wide. It looks like Canada is keeping it tight, and a good drive by the number 1, Colleen Arawa. And unfortunately, the ball has been turned over. Again, a missed opportunity for Canada, but in a positive note, certainly all the pressure's there. The ball possession is there, and the Americans seem to right now really be under a lot of pressure and having to choose to kick the ball away. This will be another great counter opportunity for Canada. And the ball, again, back to the number 15, Stephanie Black, who's had a couple of good positive runs already. And looks like the referee is going to play some advantage here again.
Yeah, the American team left their feet and rolled over top of the ball, preventing the ball to come out quickly for Canada. They go off the quick tap. And
another quick tap from Nielsen looking to, again, catch the Americans not back 10, which is where they must retire to after a penalty. The ball's been kept tight, and it looks like we have a try from the Canadian team. And they'll take an early 5-0 lead, and with the pressure that they've had so far in the game, that's a result that looked like it was going to come sooner than later. So Canada, again, for new players, the ball will come back to where the ball was grounded in goal for the kick. And we'll be looking to see who's sharing the kicking duties or responsible for the kicking duties for Canada here tonight. Now we're just waiting for a try scoring update. It looks like number 9, Nielsen, will be responsible for the kicking duties for Canada tonight. Looks like she's taking the ball back to approximately the 20-meter line. And again, this will be worth 2 points on top of the 5 for Canada, looking to take a 7-0 lead. And the kick is up, and it does not look like it was successful, so Canada will take an early 5-0 lead against the United States in this under-20 international match live from Alex Field at historic Norm Perry Park in Sarnia, Ontario. And Tony, it looks like Canada so far, most of the possession's been there. Any of the possession that the U.S. side has had so far, they've either had to rush or potentially kick away, giving Canada another opportunity to counter back.
Yeah, we've never had an opportunity to actually see what the Americans can do offensively because they've never been on the front foot. They're either running backwards or Canada has the ball. So it'll be interesting to see if when they do get an opportunity, what sort of game they actually will play.
And the United States team is looking to restart the game with their kickoff. Canada is back 10 meters, waiting for the kick to hopefully turn this again into some more offense from them and some more sustained pressure. They'll certainly be looking to move themselves forward, keep possession of the ball until they get a scoring opportunity. And that first score was scored by Corrine Riley, the hooker for Canada. And the ball was taken by number 7, Katie Svoboda. And again, recycled from Nielsen to Tessier, who opts to kick. The American team looking to counter and move the ball away. Good tackle there by Canada. Again, putting the American team under pressure. And the American team needs to find a way to, again, look for some opportunities here to just get some sustained forward progress. And it looks like they've got an advantage for an infringement by Canada. So the Americans have taken the ball into contact. A ruck is formed. The scrum half moving the ball wide. Again, good forward progress defensively from Canada. And the referee doesn't believe enough advantage has been gained, so has opted to give the penalty. Quick tap by the Americans, and unfortunately the number 8, who had good intentions, Kyla Chipman, the captain of the team, and has knocked on in what was probably the first good opportunity for America to put Canada under some pressure.
It's unfortunate when Canada got the ball and tried to kick for touch. The number 10 for the States, Nikki Richardson, was in perfect position, read the play very well, which led to this opportunity. And then the penalty, unfortunately, the knock-on has caused the problem, and now Canada is back on the attack.
And it looks like we have a U.S. player down. Can't quite see who that is at the moment. Somebody getting a little bit of first aid attention, which will lead to a brief stoppage in play. Certainly the official clock is the one that is on the referee's watch. The time on the clock could have something added to it later once they find out whether or not this is going to be just a minor injury and the player can continue. Otherwise, they will have to look at a replacement player coming in, and it looks like the player's okay. Might have just been a little bit of a knock. They are playing on some AstroTurf here, which is pretty comfortable, really. Usually the complaint about it is the heat, but it's a nice cool night here in Sarnia tonight. And it looks like the number 7, Freda Fatu is back in play and ready to go. Be Canada put in just around the halfway mark. And the referee's calling them in. Obviously, one of the big things here, Tony, is scrum safety. A very deliberate set of calls. Not allowed to push until the ball is in. And it looks like the ball is coming back not very quickly for Canada, but cleanly. The number 8 pops to the 9, and the 9 is giving the ball off to the 13. And Brianne Nicholas from nearby Chatham, Ontario, has a nice run down the field again. She had some good runs, I heard, the other night in the first leg in London, which was won by Canada. And Canada, again, putting the United States team under pressure. Once that mainline defense is broken and opportunities arise, it's simply a matter of playing the overlaps. And it looks like Canada still, to the short side of the field, has an overlap as well. It looks like it's taken again by the hooker, Corrine Riley, who again took the ball right up the channel quickly where the defense wasn't set and has scored her second try of the night. So Canada has jumped out to a quick 10-0 lead. They'll be looking to convert the try here again. Look, with a replay of that try coming, you can see the ruck is created. There's some space right to that immediate threat zone right beside the ruck, and our 17, Corrine Riley, hammers it over for her second try of the night.
That whole try was really set up farther back by the run by Brianna Nicholas. Absolutely brilliant run. You can't teach pace, and she has it, but she also is a very, very smart player and sees the pitch and made the right play, set everything up, and she put the ball in position so it could be the score.
Yeah, and again, for new viewership to TV Kojiko and rugby, some basic principles in offensive attack. You're looking to get the ball, keep possession of the ball, keep that ball moving forward with, of course, out throwing the ball forward, and just putting the team under pressure and looking for scoring opportunities. And Canada's certainly doing that by creating gaps, and it looks like the conversion was made this time by Nielsen, and so that will put Canada ahead 12-0 with about a quarter of the game so far gone by. So other than a few little knocks by Canada early, which is often very common, Canada certainly is in control of this game early. I'll be looking to see if the U.S. team can rebound and put Canada under some pressure, or if this is going to continue along the same vein and Canada has an opportunity to really open this up. The restart is done and taken cleanly by the Canadians. Number 7 for the Americans, Gianna Cruz with a tackle. The ball's gone wide to Tessier again, who opts to kick. Good coverage. 3 Americans in good position to take that kick and counter the ball. And again, it's 15-year-old Lily Durbin who took that ball into contact. And the Americans have now moved the ball out to one of their forwards wide, who's made some forward progress. Organa ruck set up. So far, it looks like, unfortunately, another handling error coming, which is going to lead to a scrum. And Tony, one thing noticing so far from the U.S. select team is that the ball is what we typically call slow ball. They're not getting opportunities to get that ball out quickly and to potentially either get through gaps or around the Canadians before their defense adjusts.
Yeah, they also seem to be on the second phase and third phase. They seem to be playing a pod system where they end up having a whole bunch of people together and try to do some crash ball as opposed to spinning the ball wide and a lot more running. So they're not opening the game up, and we don't know whether that's for any reason or that's part of the game plan. But they really are, slowing it down.
And another nice pass from the 9, Nielsen to Tessier, and that's going to be a combination link that we certainly refer to many times tonight. As they are the transitional link between the forwards and the backs. And again, talking to Canada earlier, the tactics will be to use those forwards to create some gaps in, and then whatever channel opens up out in the field, look to exploit that with some speed wide. Looks like the Americans have turned the ball over. Again, you can see it's a slow ruck opportunity. Canada, nice flat line defense with a couple of players back in case there is a chip kick through of some sort. Americans looking to move the ball to their inside center, number 12, Gabriela Cantorna. And again, it's just taking a little bit of time, which sometimes occurs. Again, they're doing the right things. They have the ball. They are moving it forward. But right now, Canada's certainly able to defend with the speed that the ball is getting to them. It looks like the player from the United States has gone into contact. They do run a dummy runner through and are trying to move the ball wide. And it's nice to see the American team getting some phases of ruck rugby put together and moving the ball. But again, the number 9, who's the transitional link, had to pick that one because either some communication issues or some people not where they were supposed to be. And again, you can see it's developed into a slow ball opportunity. There's not a lot of things that the Americans would be able to do with a slow ball other than either quick dives or maul situations when Canada is able to play such flatline defense against them.
It looked like the Americans were trying to set up something wide, but unfortunately there was bad ball, and that slowed everything down again.
Yep, and another flat pass there to the 13. Canada looked like an opportunity to turn it over, and they have done so. It looks like Canada will get an opportunity to put the ball into the scrum here. The ball was turned over, and that's number 12 for Canada, Fabiola Fortiza, who was able to turn that ball over for Canada and again put Canada in a nice spot on the field around the 30-meter line. And again, looking for, with some space here, they've got a few options. They can certainly have an 8-person pick around the wide side, or they may choose to use their speed and strength in the backs, where they've brought the weak side winger over to join and potentially create an overlap opportunity here.
Looks like Stephanie Black, the fullback, is in, and got everyone in the back line there.
And good pressure by the U.S. team in defense there. A nice tackle by Mackenzie Hawken, the 13 outside center. Looked like the ball was just a little bit flat for the Canadian team there, and good pressure by the U.S. select team in defense. And a pretty rugged tackle there from the U.S. in their defense, and that will lead to the knock-on and the scrum opportunity for the United States team.
United States team is starting to get a little more ball, and they're actually getting the ball a little more stable and not as going backward as much. They're starting to actually be able to do some things with it. As we see, they seem to be doing a lot of crash ball. Like I said, a lot of pods, slow crashing, not moving it wide, which seems to be playing in Canada's favor.
Yeah, and then talking to the coaching staff again, mentioning that 13 states represented here from the U.S., mostly identified through their collegiate programs in a couple of regional opportunities. And just like any team, Tony, in any league, not getting a lot of opportunity to practice with one another prior often creates some timing issues and some just some miscommunication in some of those things. And Canada, obviously, with such a large country and its representation across the provinces, would have similar challenges. And you know, both teams will try to work that out. Certainly, the last game started very close. I believe it was within 5 points or so at halftime, and until Canada opened it up in the second half. And the Americans do have the ball moving forward here. Again, a ruck set up. Number 7 for the U.S. team, Gianna Cruz, has been very active for them. Although she has been down a couple times. We're not sure what the issue is for her there, and whether the U.S. will have to replace her at some point. Looks like she's a little slow getting up here again. The ball has gone into touch, and because the U.S. team are the ones that took it out, it will be Canada who will get the restart throw in here.
Yeah, that last ruck, Cruz was the instigator where, you know, the ball, Canada didn't clean it up very well, and she was there perfectly to steal it. Great turnover.
And again, Canada's looked very sharp with their lineouts. Another clean ball that has gone down into an extra forward, looking to create some opportunities. Nice tackle there by number 2, Adam Alau from the U.S. up quickly on the number 9, Nielsen. And again, the Americans with the ball probably the furthest down the field they've had it thus far. But again, the ball's gone into a slow opportunity, looking to probably crash some forwards here. And the ball's been knocked into Canada number 3, Delika Menon's hands. She is the captain of the Canadian side tonight. And in the knock forward into her hands and no advantage gained, it will be a Canada scrum again.
Yeah, Delika Menon seems to be a great part of the game plan because off the lineouts and a lot of the second phase balls, she seems to be the person getting it on the crash, and she is definitely not a shy runner. She runs with pace and runs with aggression.
Yeah, and what they're using her for, again, in the strategy, like I said, the coaches were pretty clear with. They're going to use those hard runners to try to pull defenders in, try to make people miss, create line breaks. And once those line breaks are there, then it's certainly a foot race to the try line with the speed. And again, you can see Canada has moved the ball wide to number 14, Emma Jada. She's a 16-year-old, and she has a nice break through the tackle. Well recovered by the Americans to not allow her to score. And it looks like our number 9, Jess Nielsen, has done a pick and go. It's gone into a ruck situation. With her out, Canada forwards will probably pick and drive, and it looks like they have done so. Can't see the try score yet. We'll get a word on that as quick as we can. And good recovery by Canada. Look at the fact that number 9 was in, and for someone to take charge of that in the forwards to try to keep that ball moving forward until she can get back into position. And so Canada has scored again, moved the scoreboard from 12 to 17, and looking to add 2 more in conversion. This will be an interesting kick for Nielsen. It looks like it's almost right at the touch line and goal line. Of course, she's allowed to move that to whatever distance she would like, but it does need to be in line where the score came from.
This is definitely a difficult kick. Luckily, the wind is not a factor here, but still, from that angle at a long distance, a very difficult kick.
And it looks like the try scorer was Delika Men, who we just talked about with taking charge of some of those hard Canadian runs. And she certainly continued that with, again, with the number 9, Nelson in. She just took the opportunity, saw the little gap that was created in the ruck and the defense, and put that in for Canada. The kick was wide, but certainly a very difficult kick for her from the angle. Certainly had enough leg that it looked like it had a chance, but a very difficult angle for Nielsen with that particular kick.
Canada try scored by number 3, Delika.
And here's a replay again. Emma Jada with a beautiful run down the sidelines. Well done, the 2 young players on the pitch. There's a 15, Lily Durbin, 15 years old, making the tackle on Emma Jada, 16 years old. I mean, these are 2 girls, one in high school and one also in high school, and from both teams. And what a great opportunity for them to showcase their talents. and it looks like the restart actually is in. One of the issues with this particular field is that it's actually a blue sideline and not the white line that they use for gridiron. So Canada probably was just a little confused with that. And the ball did go out of bounds. It's not something they typically like to have happen, but their lineouts have been good. In this case, certainly clean and again taken by Canada, but the throw wasn't straight, which is again a minor violation and will lead to a restart from the U.S. And Tony, they've got a couple of options that they can choose from on this.
Yes, they can either take the line out again, or they can take the scrum. Normally you take the scrum because the scrum is usually the better option. You can get better control. But the Canadian scrum has been dominating so much that the Americans are taking the line out. That says an awful lot about the Canadian scrum.
Yeah, and the ball was a good decision by the Americans. They did get a nice clean ball. They have moved it wide. Number 14, Caitlin Whiteside. Ball was dropped. It has been tidied up. Canada looking to force the ball out of bounds potentially here. Americans have picked it up and have set up a ruck. Certainly the deepest they've been in Canadian territory. And the ball's again moved by the forwards. Number 6, Frida Fatau, has run the ball into another ruck situation. Ball's moved wide to the 10, and now the number 8, Kyla Chipman, the captain of the U.S. select team, who's taken the ball forward. Another ruck created. Ball being cleared by the 9 to the 10. They are trying to get it wide with just some quick hands. But Tony, hands is a difficult option when you're flat, not moving forward, and you're facing a flat line defense.
Yeah, the American backs are too flat and they're too close. You know, there's not enough space that allows the Canadian players, more than one player, to be in position to make the tackle.
Yeah, and the Canadians again with some pressure here. Looks like the referee has called a penalty. I'm not sure. It looks like it's signaling offside. For those not familiar with all of the rules necessarily, when a ruck is formed, so the ball's gone down and there's a tackler and a tacklee with a person from each side contesting over the ball, the defensive side must back up to the hindmost foot of whoever's joined the ruck from their side. Canada was obviously in offside position. The penalty's been awarded to the Americans, who in this case have opted to kick the ball out of bounds, where it will be their line-out opportunity. So good for the U.S. side. They could have gone for potentially 3 points. They want to put some pressure on Canada. They're taking the line-out opportunity, and we'll see what they can do with this particular line-out. Looks like the ball's been thrown in. Unfortunately, not straight for the Americans, so Canada will get the opportunity to either scrum or line out. Certainly their scrum has been solid thus far, and probably will take that opportunity. Give their kicker, number 10, Tessier, a chance to get a nice position. And then if the ball is clean, they'll use the 9-10 transition to potentially run if they're ambitious. But usually in this type of situation, they're looking to have some type of a territorial kick, just to clear the pressure out of their end.
Bad luck for the Americans. It looked like they had them all set up as they're playing off the line out and try to drive the ball over. Unfortunately, not straight. Took care of that.
So the ball is in. Again, it is clean. Not a great pass back, but tidied up by Tessier, who has kicked the ball deep. It takes a fortuitous hop to Emma Jada, who is covered quickly by the 14, Caitlin Whiteside. Canada does keep possession. They will be looking to continue to move this ball forward. But a few good plays there. First with the clear kick, the fortuitous bounce back to Canada, but then also good coverage by the Americans. And it looks like Tessier opts to kick to space again. Great kick from the Canadian number 10. So it'll be a line out to the U.S. Somewhere just before halfway. But well played by Canada just to clear from where they were down by their own end. A chance for everyone to regroup with a set line out here, get back into defensive position and responsibility. And it looks like the U.S. has struggled with their line out throw again. So looking for Canada again with a scrum opportunity. Could look to move it wide and use their pace again, or may look at some type of 8, 9, 7 pick to the far side.
Two well-placed kicks by Tessier. She has definitely got a decent leg on her, kicking for distance and accuracy. Put us in this position. This would be a good opportunity, I think, for the number 8 to pick the ball up and make a run.
And the ball is come back cleanly again. Nielsen does move the ball. She's, Tony, proven so far that she has a great pass in transition in her length to the number 10. They bring the weak side winger, Brianna Carolyn Crossley back across and have created another opening for Tessier. Again, they overloaded the side. They drifted the ball wide, brought it back into the weak side winger to give her an opportunity, and Tessier is able to finish after the line break. And certainly Canada is showing that once that line is broken, they've got some great speed, some great athleticism, and I understand why their strategy would be to try to get the ball wide as quickly as they can. Here's a replay of that particular try. And again, there's a line break by Tessier. She's able to evade the defender, the number 15 fullback, who's late coming across and ground the ball. And Canada's going to add 5 more points to their tally and looking to have a slightly easier kick than they had the last time out, but still a reasonably placed kick here, around 20 meters or so, for Nielsen to make an attempt at here.
Well, after the last kick she made from greater distance and angle, it was a good kick, so this wouldn't be unreasonable for expect her to make this one.
And Tony, based on what we've seen so far, what do you think we need to see from the Americans here on this this restart? The kick, sorry, just to interrupt, the kick was good from Nielsen. So,
well, the way the restart seemed to be going is that the Americans are kicking deep, and then the Canadians are counter-kicking against that. The Americans have been in position to take that kick, but then the Americans have been so bunched together that they cannot do anything expansively. I think off the counter kick they need to be more spread out, or when the ball is kicked they have to have one person call it and have the other players move into position so they can be in attacking position as opposed to supporting position.
Yeah, and Canada has a 24-0 lead. With the way this works, it is the team that gets scored on that has to kick off. So Canada looks like the number 7 has taken the ball and popped off quickly to the number 13, who we've mentioned a few times, Brianne Nicholas. Ball again quickly back to the 10, who brings it back into the number 5, Dorian Curry. And another line break and a strong stiff arm from the Canadian runner. And this is our Corrine Riley, I believe, who had that big break for Canada. And Canada's certainly on the front foot again. And here comes another break. Number 4, Camille Provençal-Aubin with another break. Ball quickly back to Tessier, who's looking to ground the ball. Looks like potentially, hard to say if it was a knock-on or a double move. Looks like it was held up. So it looks like the scrum will be set here. And again, right from the restart, not what the Americans wanted, but certainly what the Canadians wanted, with hitting a runner at pace, getting that ball moving forward, and then a couple of the powerful runners there just making those breaks and opening things up for them.
Yeah, the Canadian team on offense and on defense seems to be playing with more aggression. They're running forward. The Americans just seem to be waiting to see what's happening, and they seem to be happy to let the Canadians drive, and unfortunately to them, it's showing on the scoreboard.
So scrum opportunity here for Canada. Looks like a little bit of room to the right side. We might see an 8-person pick here. That's exactly what we've got. And again, Canada forcing the ball to the sideline. Nice defense there by the U.S. select side there in driving Canada back. It buys them some time to reorganize, and they've turned the ball over, which is great for the U.S., but you can see they're under some pressure as well. And balls come loose and scrambled, and hard to see again the official signal here, but definitely been knocked in goal. And just looking to see if it's possession to the U.S. or possession to Canada here. If the ball was brought back in, and it looks like the head official's going over the touch judge to potentially clarify who brought that ball in and who potentially dropped that. And it looks like the ball was dropped in goal by the U.S. and Canada was able to ground that. Not sure who the number is yet for the particular try. But again, Canada backing up to reorganize themselves for kickoff. And Miss Nielsen getting ready to attempt another conversion.
Yeah, the ball was very scrappy, and the Americans tried to run something from in goal, which is always dangerous, especially when they're being pressured as it was. Once the ball is in goal, there are no offside laws, and the Canadians can go from all over they want and pressured the Americans to the point where they dropped the ball, and Canadians jumped on it for the try.
So Nielsen now lining up another conversion attempt. It's 29-0 so far for the Canadian ladies under 20 team. and looking to make this 31 with approximately a minute left in the first half. And the kick is up, and it looks like it is good for Nilsson, and Canada moves that lead up even further, just a minute or so ahead of halftime.
Now this is a great showing by the Canadian team. They came out ready to go. They've been running forward, running hard, and haven't given the Americans a chance to breathe. Getting close to halftime, hopefully the Americans get a chance to regroup at half and figure out what's going on and come up with a different plan.
And the restart about to occur here. Number 10, Nikki Richardson from the U.S. putting a nice kick up. Unfortunately, it's gone just a little bit long and out of bounds. When it goes out of bounds on the fly like that, Canada will probably take a scrum at center. Great opportunity with midfield scrum to decide which direction they would like to take this particular attack. It looks like the backs and Tessier have lined themselves up to the left. But, Tony, this is a type of room with open field and strong running forwards. You could also see an 8-person pick to the right. Tessier has moved back across, but it wouldn't surprise me if the ball continued to move to the right, where they have opportunities with the natural flow of the ball and the put-in. They've reversed the flow back with a back row move between the 8 and the 7. Katie Svoboda, Americans did a great job there in defense, not falling for it. Good opportunity for the Canadians to try something different from that spot, a good safe place for them to do that. And Canada's going to head into the first half break with a 31-0 lead over the USA Selects.
Yeah, the last play by Canada was a little funny thing. You know, like I said, they had a definite plan in place, but the American Gabriela Cantorna saw what was going on and played defense and stifled it to prevent the attack.
And it looks like the Americans are heading into the locker room to potentially discuss the first half here and some things that they'd be looking to potentially change. Canada opting to stay out on the field. Again, it's a very pleasant night for them. Beautiful night here at Alex Field in Norm Perry Park.
Always loved the idea of summer. I give you my legs.
Those are my legs.
You're nothing to me until you're everything.
Houston, you copy.
In 1980, Terry Fox gave us a dream as big as our country. We hope, we believe, we persevere, and we will realize Terry's dream. Join us for the Terry Fox Run for Cancer Research, coming this September to a community near you.
How can you connect with over 56,000 social and community services across Ontario? It's simple. Dial 211. 211's helpline is free and confidential and answered by highly trained specialists. And our phone line can help you in over 150 languages. We are here 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, on the phone and online. 211, when you don't know where to turn.
My name is Tim Duval. I work as a system support specialist for the Peterborough Utilities. I took the Computer Engineering Technologist program at Fleming. I received a bursary each year that I was there, which helped me complete my schooling. The Fleming program is huge because it provides so many beneficial skill sets that go right back into the community.
Support student success at Fleming College's Kawartha Trades and Technology Center. Visit flemingcollege.ca/donate-now to help us build skills and shape futures.
coach for the under-20 women, Sandro Fiorino. And Sandro, what a great time to be coaching young women rugby in this country right after the great World Cup performance by our senior women. You're grooming the next group that will be headed off to the next World Cup.
Yeah, it's been a great last month for rugby in Canada. We've seen the success with the women at the World Cup. 2 of the players from this team last year played in the Nation Cup and made the jump up. We had 7 players from last year's team play in the IRB circuit. So obviously you can see that there's a lot of great rugby in the grassroots levels here in Canada.
Plus, there's an IRB Women's Sevens event coming to Canada, and a lot of these women will be putting their hand up for a spot there too, potentially.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to have a tournament here in Canada at Langford. It'll be a big push this year because the top 4 teams will be qualifying for the Olympics, and we'd like to make sure at that tournament we can close it off and maybe qualify in Langford for the Olympics.
A big 51-5 win the other night in London. Do you learn a lot about your team in a game like that, or are you hoping for maybe closer contests?
I think the girls are here about learning about how to be in a high-performance environment. Despite the score, we're looking at performance, and the girls have really embraced that opportunity here. We've brought in some staff that have been helping that. We have Summer Christie here to help us with the players getting developed on the mental prep, and it's been pretty busy last couple of days. So obviously the girls have stepped it up, but it's all about the performance that we're looking at here.
Maureen Riley, you got 2 tries tonight. You had Emma Jada, that's a threat anytime she gets a hand on the ball. Brianne Nicholas, 3 exciting players on this team.
Yeah, it's exciting to see that these kids are coming from the grassroots levels. Corinne coming from Lethbridge, which has been a powerhouse over the years. And Jada and Brianna just finished a tour in Brazil with the FISU team, bringing home a gold medal. So this is another opportunity for them to shine here in Canada.
All right, well, under-20 coach Sandro Fiorino, thanks for your time. Enjoy the second half. You're watching sports on TV Cogeco.
In 1980, Terry Fox gave us a dream as big as our country. We hope, we believe, we persevere, and we will realize Terry's dream. Join us for the Terry Fox Run for Cancer Research. Coming this September to a community near you.
Will we ever come back? Will we ever see home again? Did we say and last goodbye? Have we really reached the end? Gonna be a different life. The world is burning as it's turning. Will we ever come back? Will we ever see home again? Will we ever come back?
This is her high school, his classroom, her teacher, his desk. The Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program is a practical, hands-on alternative to traditional high school classrooms. Start your apprenticeship now while still in high school. The reward is a high-paying, in-demand career with almost no tuition costs. This is your future. This is your life. Make it happen.
This is a TV Cogeco sports presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Norm Perry Park and Alex Field in Sarnia, Ontario, Canada for international rugby action. Under 20 Canadian ladies team against United States national select team. My name's Todd Whitlock, Sarnia St. Club member here with longtime Sarnia St. Club member and Ontario Rugby Union referee Tony Mitchell, who's filling in for the very ill tonight, Ed Leps. And Tony, based on the first half, certainly Canada up handily 31-0. If you're the American coaches, you've had your chance to talk to your team for a few minutes. What are you hoping are some of the positives and some of the things you want to look on moving into half number 2?
Well, the Americans started getting the ball out, and their fly half, Nikki Richardson, was getting the ball and distributing it, but the ball was going much too slowly, and they weren't doing anything with it. They were standing on the back foot. They weren't running forward. I think they have to realize that if we're going to get the ball, we have to be running forward like the Canadians are to try to create some momentum and get past the gain line. I think also defensively, their one wing forward, Joanna Cruz, has been absolutely a monster, and but she's not getting the support that she needs. I think that the other players need to follow her lead and start sacrificing and be willing to commit like she is in order to create some more opportunities.
Okay, and it looks like the restart to start the second half is about to begin. If you're Canada, you're up 31-0. You've won the first game in the series, cumulative total 51-5. What are you looking at if you're the Canadian coaches, and what did you tell your team in half?
At half, I would basically say, the same old, keep doing what you're doing. Just try to clean up some of the mistakes, because, the score could be a lot worse if it wasn't for the fact that, some handling errors, because the decision-making is good, or as my old coach at Stony Creek used to say, innovation but no cohesion.
Yeah, and then the restart's done, and again, cleanly taken by Canada, and you can see right away we've got overlaps. The ball gets through Nielsen's hands, gets through Testier's hands. We've got a 4-on-1 here out wide. Again, well covered by the Americans. One person there kind of to make that play, and she did. Canada looking to bring the ball back inside. Looks like the number 2 has potentially been some changes to the lineup. Potentially for both teams. We'll have to get a word on what changes have occurred. Canada takes a quick tap on a penalty, and again they're on the front foot offensively, and they've got numbers. And I would say, Tony, one of the things I've noticed is, and I'm not sure again to what extent these teams were allowed to prepare leading into this, but Canada just seems to be a little more cohesive in offense, and just a little more on the same page together with one another.
Yeah, the Canadian team seem to know what the other players are going to do. They're prepared for what's happening, where the Americans seem to be reactive to what's going on, where the Canadians are proactive towards the ball.
And Canada forced out of bounds again after some good runs. Looks like Natalie Lesko was in as a potential substitute from the first half going into the second half. Again, we'll look around and we'll see what changes have been made, unless we get some official word from down below. There is a U.S. player who is injured on the far sideline, so that will lead to what we hope will just be a brief stoppage. We hope she's fine and it's nothing serious. Tony, when you're down 31-0, if you are the captain, Kyla Chipman for the Americans, you've spent a lot of time on the back foot. What would you be trying to be saying to your girls here as an on-field player, knowing sometimes things just don't go the way that you want them to?
Well, the important thing is you have to make sure they understand that mentally the score is 0-0, because you think the score is 31-0, you're going to start playing like the game is 31-0. You have to explain to them it's 0-0. You're trying to win the next scrum, win the next ruck, score the next try. Each individual moment is an important one to have, and if you have that mentality and just realize, let's go forward, let's keep doing what we're supposed to be doing. I think they need to start moving the ball. If you look at the Canadian ball and the American ball, the speed of it's moving is so much greater. The Canadian Americans seem to be letting their bodies do the work instead of the ball, and the Canadians let the balls do the work, and they're moving it quickly. So if I was Americans, I would start saying, let's start actually using the ball. Let's move it quickly, because the Canadians haven't been under pressure. Let's try to put under pressure by moving the ball.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things, too, we talked about briefly at the beginning of the broadcast, again, a 4-year cycle had just been completed. The World Cup was last week, which finished in France, where, again, Canada with an unbelievable national women's side showing in France, beating the French in the semifinals in a certainly a game that made Maghalie Harvey a household name in Canadian sport. And these girls here, they'll be looking this as a developmental 4-year plan for those that play in the 15s program. And those of them who are involved in the 7s program, quite a few here do play 7s for Canada. Are looking to play for 7s for Canada, which will be, for people not familiar, in Rio at the next Olympics. If you haven't seen a game of 7s, you should look at an opportunity either through the Rugby Canada website or see what's available on your local providers, because 7s, which is a very different game, a very fast game, a very exciting game, and Canada certainly at the women's and the men, very legitimate medal contenders for Rio in 2016. So we've restarted. America does have the ball again, a little bit flat, but a nice break here from the number 4. Katie Mueller with a run, but that's been turned over. Looks like number 3 for Canada, Dalika Menon. We've called her name a few times tonight. She's offloaded the ball. Canada's setting up her ruck. You can see the Americans trying to scramble to get themselves in defense. And here comes the ball out wide again. Looks like that was number 13 again, Brianne Nicholas. Tied up by Nielsen. Back to Tessier. It's a combo we've called all night. And 21, Natalie Lesko with her second big line break of the day. Courageous tackle there again by number 15, fullback Lily Durbin in her first international game for the United States. Canada, though, on the front foot. Nielsen with a dummy option there. She definitely could have passed it but decided to keep. Instead of giving it to Tessier, and she scores. And we've got another try, Canada, to make the score 36-0. And we keep hearing the same names here. The Canadian offense is running through 2 players to definitely watch for the future in Nielsen and Tessier, and they've combined for the score again here today.
There's a lot of confidence between those two. I mean, the ball comes out very, very quickly. Nielsen just absolutely throws a bullet to the fly half. Tessier knows what to do. She's very confident.
And here's a replay of that try. You can see a nice line break again from Nielsen. Again, Lily Durbin coming across from the fullback position, but I mean, just too late, too tough of an angle for her. And Nielsen looking to convert yet another try for Canada. I agree, Tony. It seems to be some really good cohesion between the 9 and 10 from Canada. One of the excellent things about what I'm seeing from the number 9 from Canada is the wider that she can make that pass, the more she can spread the Americans out, help create overlaps, whether they're going to be inside gap opportunities or channel opportunities or options to move the ball wide. And for those of you that have not played rugby, there is some practice stuff here set up by Rugby Canada for spectators to practice their throw over there. And of course, that's a skill set very unique to the number 9. And Nielsen certainly is quality with it for sure. Looks like we have a substitution for Canada. Coming off for the Canadians is number 4, Camille Provençal-Aubin. And coming in to replace her looks like Sasha Elliott, number 19 for Canada. The restart to Canada again. Exactly sticking to the game plan so far. And hopefully we'll see if they can stay disciplined like that throughout. Using those big forwards, strong, powerful forwards to run and set something up. Katie Svoboda taking the ball down, creating a ruck. Nielsen looking to fish that out. U.S. in pretty flat defense there, and good pressure from them. That's more of what they need. They need to put Tessier under pressure like this, and looks like they are able to secure a turnover. And I think, Tony, coming back to what you were just talking about, that's the type of little thing the U.S. coaching staff needs to preach, and the players need to see as positives as they work into the second half here.
Yeah, they need to commit to the ball, which they just did. They've been putting Canada under pressure, and it just takes a couple of players to actually make the play, and once it gets the advantage, that's what's happening. And Americans have had a good run of play. They've actually moved the ball the last time before the Canadian score and unfortunately knocked the ball on. But now that they're actually moving the ball, they're unfortunately, with a penalty here against Canada, but now that they're actually moving the ball, and the ball to the work, they're getting some advantage. Coach must be wondering why they didn't do it in the first half, or if that was part of the game plan, because now that they're actually moving the ball, they're actually putting Canada on the back foot.
And it looks like the U.S. is going to take one of their 3 choices that they get when a penalty occurs. Again, they have the opportunity to kick the ball for territory. They potentially could run. Actually, they could potentially take a scrum as well if they wanted, or they can go for posts. And this is about a 26-meter kick. Looks like it's going to be taken by the number 9, Brianna Kim. And just to be nice for the U.S. team, even from a confidence piece, kicker piece, to break that 0 off the board and give themselves some points, which have been hard to come by.
Yeah, they said the last few minutes they've had a decent run of play, and the fact they got the decent run of play, now they've been rewarded from it. So even though the score is all lopsided, I said before, a 0-0 score, take a look and score this one, try to score another one. It's the best set of plays that they've had for the last 5 minutes. They want to keep it going and see what they can do.
And the restart will come from Canada, and it looks like Tessier will lead the forwards to the right and the backs to the left for the restart. We'll see if the U.S. team can catch this in the air and try to get some forward momentum going and build on their first 3 points of this game. It looks like a deep kick choice by Tessier, testing the winger under the high ball. And again, just that indecision, maybe a little bit of lack of communication about where that ball was supposed to go next from the winger. But again, they've been able to secure the ball back to a slow ruck situation where they're looking to pull defenders in and potentially move the ball wide after that. But again, Tony, when it's slow like this, it's very easy for the Canadians to get themselves into defense. And in this case, the Americans use that to set up a kicking opportunity for territory and have cleared the ball back to half, where Brian Nicholas has again moved the ball on. Canada with a counter opportunity, and unfortunately the players were just a little bit flat, and we've had a knock on and a scrum come into the U.S.
You can see that the American players are starting to get a little bit their edge up. They're starting to high-five each other, and they're showing a little more aggression. They're happier. They're talking to each other more, and it seems, that penalty kick has got them going a little bit, and we'll see what happens now that they got some confidence.
And the number 9, Brianna Kim, looking to put the ball in for the scrum. The referee's blown it up. Various reasons that could cause this blow up. The players could be too close together. One side may not look prepared to engage in the scrum, which of course with 8 people moving forward creates a lot of force. And this is one of the areas a referee wants to ensure safety.
Yeah, the scrum is the one area of safety in rugby that you really have to be careful for, because you just need one person to go down, and all of a sudden there's a lot of problems.
So Canada putting the Americans under pressure here. Well done by Brianna Kim to try to get on that ball. Unfortunately, the Canadians were all over her. Here's Katie Svoboda on the run. She's got number 20 to her outside and some inside support to keep the ball alive for Canada. Looks like there's going to be a penalty against the Americans. We do have an American player, number 9 down. Kim off of the scrum. She was put under pressure by the Canadians. Play will continue unless the referee feels that the player might either need some significant assistance or could be in the way of the play. But it will be Canada's lineup. We hope Kim is okay. And it looks like we've got some substitutions coming in. So it looks like for the U.S., the hooker, number 2, Ada Melau, is going out. And number 16, I believe, Hope Wasserman coming in. And play is underway. Canada with a clean lineup, but an errant pass wide. Tidied up in a great line break here, but number 21, Natalie Lesko, called her name a few times since the restart. It's in number 20's hands. And Tony, once these quick ball breaks go, it can turn into a real track meet to the try line.
Yeah, the Canadians just seem to know what they're doing. The Americans don't. Unfortunate bad pass there, but once again, the Tessier, got some bad ball, but she knew where her players were going to be and was ready to distribute it.
Yeah, and there's some quick hands there from the U.S., and that's what they need there. They need that ball to move quickly. You can see they got some forward progress, put Canada on the back foot a little bit. Good counter ruck by the Canadians there to disrupt that ball. But the ball has been knocked on by the Canadians, and it'll be a scrum to the U.S. team just outside the 30-meter line.
Yeah, the Americans are competing for the ball more. They're being more committed, and you can see by the level of their game it's raised, and they seem to be having a lot more confidence. And we'll see what happens for the rest of the game, but they seem to be finally putting it together.
So, Tony, if you're a person sitting in the audience, you don't know much about rugby, but you certainly liked what you saw watching the World Cup last week, or like what you're seeing here on TV Coach tonight, what do you do as a player or a person who wants to be a player to get involved in rugby?
Well, you can go to the Sarnia Saints website, sarniarugby.com, and or you can call Chris Groombridge. He's the president of the club, or you just come down, check to see when the games are, come to the game, and ask anyone who's wearing a black Sarnia shirt. They will be more than happy to help you. Anyone can play the game. We always like seeing new players, old players, any players.
And the Americans are looking to put the ball in for their scrum, potentially number 8 pick. Eight-person pick, and some nice positive yardage from the number 8, Kyla Chipman, the captain of the American team. And it looks like they use that ruck opportunity to set up number 10 for a kick to territory, get a chance to reset the defense here. But one of the things they do when they do that, of course, is they give Canada, who has proven that they can play offense here tonight, an opportunity to run again. For those of you who do not live in the Sarnia area, rugbyontario.com or rugbycanada.ca are the sites that you could head to for a local club near you. All clubs, like many other sports, looking for volunteers in a player capacity, a coaching capacity, etc. And a great line break again from Canada. That's number 20, who's offloaded to number 16, Tiffany Pickett's. And Canada again trying to move the try line with another offload, but it's been turned over to the U.S., and it looks like the forward pass will lead to U.S. scrum.
Good defense by the United States there. There was a great break once again by Tessier, who just seems to be gashing the line and finding all sorts of gaps, but the American defense was solid.
And here's the replay. There's the run by number 20, Sarah Svoboda, with a great line break and a nice move. Unfortunately, she just lost her footing. There was Lily Durbin across again, and unfortunately, as a fullback, that's an awful lot of work as the last resort. You can see the Canadians trying to be expansive with the ball. Again, for players that maybe who are unfamiliar with the game, one of the great things about rugby is everybody gets an opportunity to carry the ball. Everybody gets an opportunity to run that ball forward and potentially be involved offensively and defensively. And when those gaps open up, certainly it's a lot of fun when you're the offensive team with the ball, when you can let the ball work a way around. Comes back to what you said a little bit earlier, Tony, that with the Canadian team, because they're getting the line breaks, because they obviously have some significant team speed, they're able to let that ball kind of do the work for them, where it seems like in the U.S. case, because the ball's a little bit slower coming out, because they're a little bit flatter when they receive the ball, they're just getting put under a lot of pressure by the under-20 Canadian girls.
The Canadian girls have a lot of different options because they are moving forward. The Americans, they get the ball, their options are limited because of the fact that they aren't going forward. And it's interesting what you said about everyone gets an opportunity, because when you have the scrum or the line out, everyone's got a set position. But once that ball is in play and that's open play, everyone is basically has the same position, because you got to do your job, and you may have to ruck, you may have to tackle, you may have to run. It's just everyone's got to get involved.
And it looks like we're about to restart. The U.S. player down is back and ready to go, and it will be a restart around the 15-meter line. Looks like it's a Canadian put-in. No, sorry, it is a U.S. put-in, and the Americans will be potentially either looking to get this ball to the 10 for a clear kick, or maybe they'll set up a quick ruck to pull some defenders in and relieve some pressure off of the 10 before they decide to either run or kick for some type of territory. And the ball's in, decent enough scrum. Turns into a number 8 pick again for the U.S. The ruck has been set up. The kicker is getting in position to clear. Canada trying to disrupt and counter that particular, and they've turned the ball over. And Nielsen moves the ball wide to Svoboda. Svoboda has a gap, couple of stiff arms. Again, fine effort by Lily Durbin back at fullback, who's had to be way too active in defense tonight. But by committing herself there defensively, Canada has committed a turnover, and the U.S. will get a chance to relieve some pressure here.
Yeah, Durbin's just been great there in defense. Everywhere that you look, she is there. Just fantastic job. It's a thing about an opportunity Canada may be in attacking position, but you got to keep on playing the play the whole time, because you never know. One tackle like that near the goal line, and all of a sudden you clear the area and you've got the ball.
And the U.S. kick the ball into touch about the 24-meter line. It'll be their line out. They get to set the numbers in the line. It's their throw, so looks like they've got a pretty full line in there that Canada will match. They've had a few errant throws. There is a replacement thrower in here, so see what the U.S. gets out of their replacement throw. A little bit untidy, and looks like it was potentially knocked in the line out. Just looking for, actually it's not straight is the signal from the official. So Canada again in a great pressure position, just past the 20-meter line, with certainly some pace and some depth. I mean, looking at the deepest person in the Canadian line here, basically 40 meters back from when this ball comes out. Wouldn't surprise me if there's a quick hitter of some sort to pull people in, and then these ones that are really deep here try to hit a phase after that.
Yeah, the offside wingers on the line also.
And they're just moving the ball wide right away. There was lots of depth. Unfortunately, the ball didn't quite make it. Canada's still working their way back to their original start point. But they will, it looks like they'll try to set up, and then we get an offside player coming in from the side of that ruck. When you do enter a ruck, it has to come basically directly from behind, what they call the gate at the back. The Americans are penalized for that, and Nielsen will kick this ball out of bounds. And again, Canada will be in a great pressure scoring opportunity here. It's exactly what I'm sure what their coaches want to see. You know, they're not doing anything outrageous. They're sticking with their game plan. Be interesting to see if they send the ball again to the forwards right away, choose to move it wide right away, or if they try something like a maul at the front. Bit of an overthrow, but tidied up by number 19 for Canada. That's Sasha Elliott. Moves the ball towards the middle of the field where the ruck is set up. It looks like the ball has been turned over again, but the referee is blowing play dead. Just waiting for a signal here. Wondering if we've had another player dive over the ball and potentially slow that down. Looks like it could be leading to a warning this time to the U.S. Yeah, for not rolling away. That's something that if we see repeatedly offending, the referee may opt to yellow card and put somebody into the sin bin. Looks like Canada's opting to scrum here. Tony, it's a pretty good decision. You're tying in 8 forwards. Your forwards have had no problems winning their own ball, and in some cases pushing the United States back. Lots of room to the right side here for potential 8-person pick, or certainly the option tonight to go through Nielsen to Tessier has worked well for Canada as well.
Yeah, they've been powering everything, so they could have the forwards just decide to drive it themselves. You also have their forwards in, so if you do decide to release the ball, the speed the Canadians have been releasing the ball, they got more open space to do things with. And again, the number 8 pick for possibly going blind.
Yeah, and it looks like the Canadians have the drive on it. As long as this ball stays in number 8's feet and the scrum doesn't disintegrate for some reason, Canada could push this ball all the way across. Did get untidy, so the 9-10 combo works. Number 11 with a great run, almost covered by the Americans, but number 11, Caroline Crossley, with the score for Canada. Great individual effort, using that stiff arm to create some space and break that tackle, and then to put that particular score in.
Yeah, the Canadians had the offside winger in a position. The Canadians have the offside winger in a situation, a cross right inside their 11 cross goes inside. The Americans were not ready for that.
Yeah, and again, you can see that Tessier with their decision making, she gave the number 11 Crossley some options. By giving that ball to her early, she had the option of taking it wide or cutting back, which she chose to do. Anybody trying to make that tackle, not knowing if they have to leg it out in the same direction of the flow or put the brakes on to a cutback is a very difficult tackle. And again, the vision from Tessier of whether to keep or give that ball to the streaking Caroline Crossley, who scores. And another kick from Nielsen for Canada, and the score is moving up higher and higher for Canada, 43-3. at the 18-minute mark of the second half with a restart coming back. Be interesting to see at what point substitutions may come in for either side. There have been a couple made from each side. Be interesting to see if we see the benches theoretically emptied at some point here.
Yeah, you want to give in a situation like this, you know, it's international. Some of these young children, I would have to say, you know, being 16, 15 and things like that, give an opportunity to represent their country and give an opportunity to play a game like this is just, you know, great.
And a nice restart from the Americans. Frida Fita with the restart and a great run for the U.S. team, making some positive yardage off the kicks. Number 8 with a pick up and go forward. And this is what the Americans need. They need some of that line break. They need to get some forward momentum. They need to pull some Canadian defenders in. And you'll notice that when they do get quick ball like this, there are some gaps, there are some spaces that open up. They just haven't been able to do that consistently throughout the evening. But this is a good set of 5 or 6 phases that the ball has moved. Here's another good run from the number 6, who has offloaded to 14, Caitlin Whiteside, I believe. And you can see the Canadians now are having to bunch. There's space wide if they can move it. Unfortunate handling error from the U.S., but tidied up. And again, folks, this isn't like football where sometimes going backwards a little bit is harmful. If you can keep possession and then try to get that forward momentum back, that's what you're after. In this case, unlucky for the Americans, the Canadians have turned the ball over. A good clear kick from the Canadians that has gone into touch. So good relief by the Canadians to clear that, get the ball back to half. But nice from American perspective as well to get some forward progress, some quicker ball, and put Canada under a little bit of pressure.
I got to wonder whether the American coach is rethinking his game plan, because the first half of the game plan wasn't working, and now that they're actually changed what they're doing and throwing the ball out and releasing it, they're getting some good play.
Ball was overthrown, tied up by the number 6, and now the number 8, Kyla Chipman, who's been very busy for the U.S. She is the captain of this team. Again, unfortunately, the ball's been turned over. Number 2 from Canada, dropped again by Canada from 16 back to number 2, but the referee is going to blow the whistle here, and it looks like we're going to have a scrum for either a throw forward or a knock-on that Canada was being allowed to play some advantage with.
Yeah, at this point in time of the game, like I said, get some of the substitutions in, because some of these ladies are going to be very tired after, you know, they played a game a couple of days ago and they got a hard game now. The handling errors seem to be mounting. Get some fresh bodies in there to raise the level of the game.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Tony, I mean, I do know that there were a lot of changes made to this game to begin, so some of the ladies that are on the bench did play full games the other night. Again, though, with like any competitive national sport and national team, competition will be fierce over the next 4 years. What a great opportunity for these ladies to represent their country, hopefully 4 years to come, and for those that don't, what a great opportunity for them to represent their country at the U20 level.
Yeah, for women this age to already have an opportunity to take a look and say they've represented the country and wear, you know, the United States flag or the Canadian flag on their jersey. You know, I wish I had that opportunity, but unlike these women, I didn't have the skills.
Yeah, and Canada, it looks like we've had a knock on here, and we're going to have another restart with the U.S. putting in. And again, if they can just try to build on what they just had, there's a more solid scrum from them there. A ball tidied up by Kim, who's had to do that a few times tonight. Another nice run from the 13, Mackenzie Hawkins. We've called her name a few times tonight. That's what the U.S. needs. They need that ball to just keep moving, try to get that forward momentum, keep the ball, pulling Canadian defenders in, and look for some opportunities. But again, you can see it's the continuity piece that they're struggling with. The ball's been turned over again to Canada. And again, one of the great things about this game, when that ball's turned over, it immediately goes to transition, and you flip from defense to offense or offense to defense. Looks like Canada's made one of the few handling errors that's gone through Tessier's hands tonight, so it'll be another restart and scrum to the U.S. Looks like we have some substitutions coming in for the U.S. side. It's number 19, Matt Hingano, and can't quite see at the moment who her replacement is. It looks like she's going in at the number 10 position, the fly half position. So it'll be interesting to see if she has any more success in moving the ball. Actually, it looks like she's moved out to the 13 position, and 13 Hawkins has moved to 10, or sorry, 12 has moved over to 10, Gabriela Cantorna, and looks like the player has moved out to outside center, or the number 13 position. So looks like another restart off of the scrum here, something the referee didn't like pre-engagement. Resetting the mark where the players have to align themselves and where the ball is supposed to go straight in for the two players called the hookers, who are, their job is to hook the ball back to their number 8's feet, where then the 8 or the 9 can decide what option they're going to use from there. And it looks like the Americans have had a more solid scrum in this second half at times too. First ball that has come back to Gabriela Cantorna has put her under pressure. And a ball comes out now to the number 8, Kyla Chipman again, who's had her fair share of running opportunities, but again turned over. Looks like number 20 for Canada, Sarah Svoboda, who has taken the ball into contact and down. Canada again with a ruck and trying to move this ball forward. Tidied up by Nielsen, who takes it down. Probably be a forward, will take this ball on until they can get her back into her transition role for them. Again, spilled, and we've got an American opportunity here. Number 6 with an opportunity. Unfortunately, thrown forward and a hard knock on the elbow there too on to the AstroTurf, and it's going to be a player down.
I think the player down is Kyla Chipman. She made a good hard run and unfortunately took a hard tackle. Okay. That was the knock forward there, unfortunately, of the American counterattack. Well, they had a decent counterattack off the base of a ruck, and unfortunately the one player could not make the correct pass and ended up being into touch.
And Tony, rugby in the family here for Canada, number 20, Sarah Svoboda, and her sister out here, number 7, Katie Svoboda. Their uncle was a Canadian player many years ago, Carl Svoboda, who represented Canada on the international level as well. So nice to see his nieces carrying on the tradition here and representing under 20 Canada ladies program as well.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to play against Carl at university when he played at Toronto, and he was a very, very hard player, and his nieces have shown to be very hard players also.
We currently have a U.S. player down. We've got about 15 minutes left in this game. Again, under 20 match at Norm Perry Park in Sarnia, Ontario, Canada, featuring the Canadian under 20 women's against the USA National Select under 20 teams. If you're again new to the broadcast or just joining us, these are ladies who are beginning the next developmental cycle for international women's rugby. Last week the World Cup was held in France. Canada with their best showing ever, losing 21-9 to a very strong England side who they had tied in pool play. Canadian rugby looking good, American rugby looking good on the international scene at both the 7s level, the 15s level in both men's and women's. And Tony, if you're a young lady looking to try something new, in Canada, high schools, many high schools across Canada offer rugby at the high school introductory level. With the growth of 7s now becoming an Olympic sport, 2014, sorry, in 2016 in Rio de Janeiro. Great opportunities for both high school men and ladies to give a sport a try, and certainly we know it is a rapidly growing sport across the country.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm glad to see that the American player, I think it's Kyla Chipman, is up. made a fantastic run. Unfortunately for her, the Canadian player went and hit her as hard as she was running, and that's unfortunately, that's part of the game, that it's a contact game, and sometimes, you get hit, and you get hit hard.
Yeah, and Chipman's been very busy. The Canadian scrum has put the American scrum under a lot of pressure tonight. She's had to take the ball from the back of the scrum a few times. She's also taken the ball on many opportunities running, and sometimes when you're doing that much work, it eventually catches up with you a little bit. So we hope that she's okay. We hope that she gets to, no significant injury, just a bump or a bruise. And with the score being what it is, certainly no sense pushing it. And that she's able to resume her either club or collegiate career, whichever it is for her, at the earliest opportunity. Scrum for Canada at exactly the halfway mark here. Signal from the official to put the ball in. Another good scrum from Canada, although the ball does pop out the back. Turned over by the Americans. Number 6, who's been busy here, and number 5 for the U.S. teams. Hargadine and Fitau, very busy this half with some runs and had some good positive line breaks. And again, if you're the developmental programmers from the U.S. And you're watching these ladies for what they're going to bring down the road, these two young ladies certainly have had some positive opportunities offensively for the Americans. Kim taking the ball down, and again, a penalty has been called. That's what the Americans need. They need that quick ball. They need those line breaks. And you can see that when you do put the other team under pressure, it creates some opportunities. In this case, a penalty. And it looks like the U.S. and Kim are going to try for their 3 points here. She was successful earlier with her first kick and looking to go 2 for 2 here.
Yeah, the Americans are starting to push and go forward, and they're getting a lot of success now. It's last 10-15 minutes have been pretty much an even match. Once again, I said they're trying to develop their own skills and develop the game for their country. But it's a chance for them to show also what they're doing for further endeavors and further teams.
And you'll see the Canadian players are back 10. They're not allowed to rush this. They're not allowed to yell anything. The ball is live if it's not through, although that's an excellent kick from Kim. And the Americans double their score from 3 to 6. So, again, the American coaching staff, from a long-term development thing, they're going to be looking at how some of these individuals, where they're at now, the things that they're going to have to improve on, like any other sport that's out there. Certainly video analysis, committee approaching, sitting down and providing players with feedback to where their next steps of development need to go at the collegiate and further level is what they'll be talking about down the road. And there's been some very good individual performances from the U.S. today. Just something that as a group getting together on this short notice and opportunity, maybe just not able to put it all together as a group at this time.
Yeah, the old phrase is that one team will beat 15 individuals every day, and the Canadians seem to be more close to being one team.
Again, number 6 for the U.S. with a pickup, Fitau. And she's had a very, very busy second half. Looks like Canada contesting this ruck, trying to turn the ball over. The Americans are able to keep possession. They've set up for the kick to clear. Looks like that ball will bounce into touch and give Canada a line-out opportunity around the 50-meter line. But there's, like I said, there's been 3 or 4 U.S. ladies, number 6, number 8, number 10, very, very busy in this second half. And again, from a coaching perspective, their coaches will be pleased with the progress of those individuals. Canada recycling the ball, opting to go short side. That ball is going to be knocked on, so it will be a U.S. opportunity to try some advantage here, see what they can make out of it. Good defense from the Canadians. The ball is turned over, but it's going to be the initial knock that comes back, that throw forward, and it'll be a U.S. scrum. We'll see if the Canadians put the U.S. under pressure here, or if they opt to just go into some type of a defensive transition mode. And again, looking to see with the U.S. with a new number 10 in, what they can make with this particular possession.
Yeah, at this point in time of the game, I would think that the Americans would try something different. this is an opportunity for them to learn what they can do and see what can happen. So I would expect to see something happen here as opposed to just straight down the line.
And again, reset here. Again, something the referee didn't like. Could be something with the front rows not being comfortable. They could be too close. Giving them the commands now of crouch, bind, set, and the signal to come in. The ball is in, and a nice solid scrum by the U.S. Unfortunately, the little bobble there that disrupts things in timing. And so again, a little bit flat. They are able to get the gain line back, which is good because they're putting Canada back on the defense. But again, it's just a little bit slow, but a good individual run here. Again, forcing Canadian defenders in, allowing the U.S. to get themselves sorted out, but again, an errant pass back or some miscommunication. And now Canada defensively able to put the U.S. under pressure. Difficult throw, but good tidy up by the U.S. here. Unfortunately, the player is isolated, but the Canadian player looks like number 20 has come in from the side, which is illegal. And nice run from number 17 from the U.S., Sheila Decker. So caught Canada on the penalty, picked it up, tried to make something happen quickly, but unfortunately you can see again, just not able to keep that momentum going with some continuity from the whole group. And back to that slow ball. And some of this, Tony's going to be fatigue at this stage. Some of these girls have played pretty much the whole match, but when you get those opportunities and you get the other team on the back foot, you really want to try to capitalize on those.
Yeah, the Americans seem to have a decent run of play, but it always comes down to the fact that the Canadian forwards seem to get there eventually in numbers greater than the Americans. And when you get more players, it causes problems, and the Canadian forwards have been doing a great job of getting there.
So it looks like the U.S. has to put in around the 47-meter line. The 43-meter line of Canada, so in Canadian territory. And the number 9, Brianna Kim, who we've called her name a lot tonight. She's been very busy tidying up loose ball, and of course has that important 9-10 transitional link. The ruck has been set up again. You can see again, it's just taking the U.S. time. A good run here, though. Nice head of steam. That's the individual stuff that at times we've seen very good out of the Americans. Here's Decker again. She's had 3 or 4 good runs like this to put Canada on their back feet and driving on. It's just a matter of them. You can see here the number 4 running a dummy line. The ball has been moved wide and handling error. And certainly no disappointment in the effort there from number 6 for the U.S. She's been all over the place for them this evening, and in particular even more active since both Cruz and Chipman have come out, and she's had a fine game for the Americans.
Yeah, the American team is, starting to go for it a little more, but the Canadian, once said, the Canadian team just refuses to give in. They've dug their heels in, and they're just not budging.
And looks like it's going to be a Canada scrum. And again, both very young teams, if you're just joining the broadcast or have come late. Long-term development on the mind for both sets of coaches here. A lot of the Canadians here are part of the Sevens program, be looking to try and get into the National Women's Sevens and 15s program, which are 2 very different games. Talking to the U.S. coach earlier, he said most of these girls have not transitioned out of the sevens in the same way that the Canadians have. Most of these girls are looking at the 15s pathway at this time, but certainly young and inexperienced, and this is the type of thing that both sides need. They need quality competition, they need games, they need chances to gel and to develop their individual and team skills for the future, and hopefully represent their countries either in Rio or in the Rugby World Cup in 4 years' time.
Yeah, the old phrase, steel sharpens steel, and so you have to go against the best competition in order to improve yourself. So this is an opportunity for all these girls to improve their skills.
It looks like an 8-person pick here from the back of the scrum for the Americans. Nicely rucked over by the Americans, and again, getting a chance to move it wide. And there's our first touch from Lily Durbin with the ball, joining from the fullback position. And we've certainly called her name a lot on defense. And Tony, the one thing I do like out of the Americans this half is what you said. They've come out with a little more passion, a little less deer in the headlights. They're getting some nice individual running opportunities like we've seen here in the last few minutes. And kudos to them for not folding the tent and continuing to play hard all the way to the end here with about 5 minutes left in this 80-minute game. And you can see what happens. We get a penalty opportunity again for not rolling away, which could be, you know, the score line, a little bit of potentially a lazy penalty, maybe some fatigue setting in for the Canadian players, or maybe the focus drops a little bit when the score line's like this. But again, both sides use this for an opportunity for a long-term development and building for the future. And what looks bright for both nations in both 7s and 15s rugby.
Yeah, the game is growing, and the more it grows, the better it is. And the women's game, especially in North America, is growing. And it's a great opportunity for women to play a game like rugby. And for those who aren't shy with contact, it's a lot of fun.
And Kim lines her kick up. This one is her first miss. And it looks like Canada is going to try to counter. And great run out of the end zone. I believe that was number 13 again, Brianne Nicholas, who decided to opt for that run. And why not when the scoreline is what it is, and looking to get a chance to try to make something aggressive happen. Canada then follows up with a nice ruck, which keeps ball in their hands, and they decide that the next best option is to kick for some territory and relieve some of the pressure.
Yeah, at this point in time of the game, why not try some different things? The match is well in hand. Just try something new, see what happens, develop a skill. You may be in a situation, a game where it's important, and you may need to use it, so why not try it when it doesn't hurt you?
And it looks like the line-out throw was not straight. You know, the one thing I would say in the second half, the U.S. has still been under pressure scrum-wise, but has tidied that up to some extent. They've had some difficulty. That's the third or fourth not straight throw. So again, when you think about some development, coaches will notice that. They'll go back. They'll work on some throwing individual technique to bring to the group for the next time that they get together. But again, that's what this game's all about, learning opportunity for both sides. And Canada looking to go on the offense again. And I know we've said it a couple times, that ball that comes from 9 to 10 from Canada makes things easy for everybody when you can spread the field with a great initial pass from 9 to 10. Well ball taken by Lily Durbin, again, 15 years old for the U.S. in her first international match. No fear there taking that high ball, but forced out of bounds and be a Canadian lineout. Looks like the Canadians are going to opt for a 4-person lineout, so we would probably expect to see, except that it's an overthrow and tidied up by number 19, Sasha Ellie again. Ball's off to Nielsen, who takes it down. Probably some forward ball to happen here until she can get back into the play. Just a little pick and go from Canada. Good leg drive from Canada to keep that ball moving forward. Another good leg drive here. All about keeping possession, getting everybody a chance to regroup and organize, and then go back on the offense. And Tessier opts to kick and knock on from the fullback Durbin. So Canada will get an opportunity with a scrum about 35 meters or so away from the U.S. line. And with just over a couple minutes left, potentially looking to score one more time.
Yeah, that was a great set of phase by Canada. They were smart enough to realize that the scrum half was in, so the forwards played some power rugby, keep driving, gain some territory, let the scrum half get back in so she can distribute the ball.
It looks like Canada split their backs here. A good way to open up the field, either to the 8-person pick on this side, which would involve the 13 and 11, or they could go back to Tessier on the other side. Looks like they come to this side of the field. And Chatham product, there she is, Brianne Nicholas. And Brianne Nicholas with a great run down the sideline again. keeping the ball in play. And Tony, you know, for an inexperienced viewer, great play there for her to just keep the ball alive, allow Canada an opportunity to keep this forward progress and momentum. She had a great line break. Sometimes you get the blinders on, and in trying to do too much and make something happen, you get forced out of bounds, which causes a turnover. A very witsy play about her to keep that ball alive and give Canada an opportunity to keep the pressure on the U.S.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head right there. You know, she could have gone into touch, but the Canadians were running forward and might as well keep it there.
And it looks like the game has been called based on the referee's clock. So final score will be Canada under 20, 43, U.S. under 20, National Select 6. I'm Todd Whitlock and Tony Mitchell for TV Cogeco. We're going to have a closing. We're going to have a closing ceremony here shortly. We'd like to thank everybody for viewing. Canada under 20, 43, Junior All-American 6. Long-term development plan for both teams. Lots of good individual things and team things to look for. Tony, final thoughts for either or both sides as they look forward to their futures?
Well, I think the American side, they need to realize that the second half was so much better. And what they did was they used the ball and they went and tried to open things up. It didn't work keeping it closed in the second half. Hopefully they realize, you know, that they have some skill when they actually try to be expansive. But when you have players from 13 states, it makes it difficult to have that cohesion. They probably started developing and learning what they were doing while they're playing. The Canadian side, it's their game plan and their skills seem to be there. It's just a matter of tightening up things and making sure that the little tiny mistakes are removed, because they were definitely the better side, but the score showed, but they still had many opportunities of left waiting simply because of simple handling errors or, you know, bad passes. So basically the Canadian side has to work on the small things. The American side, I think, needs to work on their game plan.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that both nations face when it comes to something like this is geography. Both countries are very large. Both countries have difficulty bringing people from across the states or across the various provinces to get together when it matters. So, you know, if I'm the Canadian coaching staff, I look at what I've seen here, and I'd be very impressed with how quickly they were able to come together, and that's a credit to the Canadian coaching staff. And I agree with the U.S. You know, talking to their coach earlier, he said there were some challenges in bringing this group together. And again, it's all part of a longer-term development for both nations, and we hope to see some of these ladies representing their nation in either Rio as part of the National Sevens program or in the next World Cup in 4 years' time representing their country as well. And it looks like we're going to have a presentation now for the Can-Am Cup where Canada has won the two-game cumulative total series. They're over now by the Sarnia supporters who have come out to support this event tonight, as well as family and friends who've traveled with them. You know, a good chance for the ladies to get their photo opportunities here. And again, Tony, we mentioned it earlier, it doesn't matter what age group you are, what sport you played, to be able to represent your country, what a great honor regardless of final result here. And rugby looks great for both nations.
It really does. You know, both teams should hold their heads up high. They played great rugby. They played clean rugby. They didn't quit playing, and it bodes well for women's rugby, like I said, in both countries.
Brianne Nicholas.
So Brianne Nicholas is basically the player of the series, I believe, is the award that was just announced. Brianne is a fairly local product. She's from Chatham, Ontario, which is about an hour from Sarnia, and congratulations to her. Didn't get an opportunity to see her first game in London on the other night, but I heard she played very well.
Your 2014 Can-Am Cup winners, Canada.
And now is the official presentation for the Canadian captain, Delika Menon, will get to come forward, and she'll get an opportunity to take the Can-Am Cup back to her side in Canada. And again, one of the things I will touch on, congratulations to the U.S. for their fine showing. There were some great individual efforts out there. And congratulations to Canada and their coaching staff as well. And the Under-20 Cup, Can-Am Cup, being presented by David Butler to Canada. And we're going to go downstairs now to Mr. Cross. He's going to do an interview down there.
Oh, no, because then you'll freeze up.
Looks like he's with Brienne
And
Nicholas.
joining me now is the Can-Am Series Series champion, Brienne Nicholas. And Brienne, you were playing at fullback and you were playing at center fullback the other night and set up so many tries. You scored some nice ones too, but what really caught our eye was what a playmaker you were coming in from the 15 spot, but so at home at 13 as well.
Yeah, it was fun. I like being switched around at both positions. It's better to set up tries, I find, than making tries myself. So it's always good knowing that you're helping the team out.
What did you learn about your team in this two-game series? Because probably a little tentative at first. The first game didn't know what was going to happen, but then it got a little one-sided. What changes when you get into a game like that?
What kind of game?
Like a game where it's one-sided and you start opening things up. Like, do you start trying to expand the offense?
Oh yeah, we played them the first game, and then we tried to switch it up a bit. So first game we were winning out wide, so we thought the U.S. would start defending us out wide. So we started to switch up the plays, go up the center, and then work as a team rather than individuals, and then so we can get back. Yeah.
Oh, you just watched the Canadian women finish second at the World Cup in 15s, and you guys kind of looking around, you must be thinking, gosh, that could be some of us in 4 years' time.
Yeah, for sure. That's always the goal, to try and play World Cup, play for Canada. This is a stepping stone, so getting our names out there.
How much did you grow as a team over these two games and being together like this?
Oh, we had a short time to be together, but I think we really bonded well and grew as a team and learned a lot.
Well, our series MVP, Brienne Nicholas, congratulations. Enjoy your rugby ball. I'm sure you had a few at home anyway, but great taking some time with us. And that is all we're going to do here from the Can-Am game between Canada and USA, and we want to thank TV Cogeco for all their help and all the guys upstairs and everyone that made this event possible. Have a great night from Norm Perry Stadium in Sarnia.
The preceding program has been a presentation of TV Cogeco Sports.
It's a fact that many older homes contain asbestos. When you cut or disturb asbestos, the fibers can get into the air, and that's just plain dangerous. Today we know that breathing in asbestos can cause lung cancer as well as serious lung diseases. If you plan to renovate, don't touch things that may contain asbestos. Leave it to the pros. They know what they're doing. To learn more about asbestos and your lung health, go to lung.ca.
Are you aware of the Move Over Law in Ontario? This law helps save police, fire, and ambulance from oncoming traffic. If you see flashing lights of emergency vehicles ahead while on the highway, you must slow down and move over one lane. Failure to do so could result in fines and even jail time. In the city, pull over to the right and stop.